Hello from the media room at MTS Center, where Claude Noel does his daily press conferences. They're always entertaining.
And you wish you could be as entertaining as Claude Noel?
Yeah, he's pretty good. We'll give him that. We'll have to keep him around for that. The Winnipeg Jets win 3-1 over the Buffalo Sabres to cap a homestand with a 5-1-2 record, which has them comfortably in 8th place. This game was a pretty impressive showing against a pretty hot team.
No doubt, Jets get on the board first on what looked like a bit of a harmless shot that handcuffed Ryan Miller. Andrew Ladd going nicely to the net for the lamplighter, per se. Jets let up a little bit late in the second period, giving up that goal with 35 seconds left. I thought was quite costly, but they ended up shrugging it off like it was no big deal. You hate to give up goals in the last minute, especially to a fourth line that doesn't score a lot.
Right.
But they regrouped nicely and came up with a big third. I thought Brian Little was huge in this game. 3 assists. I thought he was flying right from the get-go. I've named him first star, and he was very deserving in that regard. And it was mostly a lunch pail effort by the Jets tonight, with 2 highlight reel goals in the third period. First, Blake Wheeler busting in on the breakaway for his 15th, the high glove on Ryan Miller. And then Chris Thorburn with a blaze of speed down the right side. And depending on who you listen to, it was either the prettiest goal of the year or a bit of a lucky break for the T on the GST line.
Yes.
Nonetheless, it was a good burst and a very important insurance marker for the Jets in this one. In a very gutsy third period victory over a team that was only 2 points behind them going into the day. That's probably the most encouraging sign for the Jets overall.
Sure. That's their second straight very good third period as well, which had kind of been haunting them lately. And it allowed them to go 5-1-2 on the homestand. And, you know, every hockey coach wants to go 8-0 on an 8-game homestand.
Sure.
But could you really ask for anything more on this homestand if you're a member of the Winnipeg Jets?
Absolutely not. I said going into this homestand they needed probably 6 of 8 to move up in the standings, and essentially with the 2 overtime
they got 12
defeats,
points.
They got the 12 points, and to me that's especially with who they played during the stretch. They had big wins over some high-level teams like Boston again. It's not like they played cellar dwellers during this stretch, though ironically their 2 losses were the loss to Edmonton.
Right. Yeah, the only regulation loss, probably to the worst team.
Yeah, very odd, but it's the way they responded from those efforts is what impressed me the most, that's for sure.
Here's what Brian Little had to say about the 8-game homestand.
I think the biggest thing for us is just continuing how we're playing no matter what. I think, we've kind of had a let-up, when we go on the road before, and it seems like we don't have the same energy on the road, and we're going to have to find a way to bring that, the way we play at home, onto the road with us for the next road trip.
So we already knew the Jets were a good home team. That it's really not new.
No, that's
and
not
now
nice.
We find out if this team is actually better than they were earlier in the year. 9 of their last 15 games are on the road. How do you see it shaping up? They have some tough road games too. It's not going to be easy.
Moment of truth right now for the Jets. No question. They've got games with back-to-backs with Vancouver and Calgary coming up this week. Said going into this week they probably need 2 to 3, so they've set themselves up well by winning the first one. If they can split on this trip, I think they'll be happy. Again, after coming home to face the 3 teams, you have Dallas, Washington, and Carolina coming in here for 3 games after that.
Huge.
And then again, Washington, Pittsburgh, Nashville. So this is going to be very interesting right until April. I have said it the entire time. I think the Jets still do have what it takes. I think Brian Little alluded to it. They're much better now playing with the lead and playing in tie games, whereas earlier in the year they weren't really thriving in those circumstances. But they've got to do it on the road now. It's one thing to say you're better, and I do think they are a better team than they were showing. And the big element is goaltending. You've got great goaltending from both Andre Pavlik and Chris Mason throughout the year. I think they're playing much better defensively. And for a team that was having trouble scoring goals in January, they've sort of gotten over the hump in that regard. I thought the top line today was outstanding. Little, Blake Wheeler, and Andrew Ladd were great. All 4 lines played well, but that line really drove the bus offensively. And Evander Kane was very dangerous as well. I thought he had a good game.
His 8-game point streak came to an end, but he still had a lot of great chances, especially in the first period. On the weekend, Claude Noel said his team needs 5 wins on the road out of their last 9. That's what he wants. He wants 5 of 9. Here's what he had to say after Monday's game about going on the road.
Well, we got to take this confidence level and the will that we play with at home and know that we're not going to get the support of the fans, and then take that and we're going to have to provide our own energy and our own support system in the room. And that's really, but, we've established that here over the course of this homestand. And, right now you got to feel pretty good about where our team's at and how they're thinking about themselves and how they feel about themselves.
So there it is from Monday's game. Ken Wiebe, I will ask you straight up, 15 games left. Are the Winnipeg Jets going to be playing on April the 10th when the playoffs open?
I think they are.
Really?
I said at the start of the year I thought they were going to finish 8th, and I've seen nothing during the last few months that would suggest otherwise, other than that blip on the radar in January. I think this team really believes in itself, which is something that maybe was lacking earlier on. And the thing that's impressed me most during the turnaround for the Jets is the way they've handled success. Earlier in the year, they win a couple games, and then they would sort of lay an egg or not come up with a big effort. Although obviously the circumstances dictate that they can't afford those letdowns, I'm seeing a lot fewer letdowns in their game, and just a lot more defensively sound.
Yeah,
to me,
that's true.
Havlik has been solid, but his defense is playing a lot better now. I thought Dustin Byfuglien and Toby Enstrom both +3 today. Grant Klitzum made a nice debut with Ron Hainsey on that pairing. And Randy Jones and Mark Stewart had another excellent game, blocking a lot of shots, doing a nice job on the special teams. And that's the other thing. The Jets' power play finally got going. Not in this game here, but they've given themselves reason to believe that they can win some special teams battles, and that's what they're going to need in order to stay in this race down the stretch drive.
Yeah, if you ask me the same thing, and I'll ask myself the question, I still think that this road thing is, it's in their heads, and until they can prove they can do it, there's too many road games left for this team to make the playoffs, but we will see.
We'll see.
It's going to be, at least the last month of the season is going to be worth watching, and they won't just be playing out the string. So,
highly entertaining.
From MTS Center, for Ken Wiebe, I'm Kirk Penton. Thanks for watching.